you, my dear students. In this video, we will know how to organize an excellent paragraph about a person using the information in the box. First, my students, let us read the question. Write a biography of an Egyptian writer. So my students, we will write about an Egyptian writer called Najib Mahfouz. This is his name. And he is what? Najib Mahfouz, we know, as it is said in the question, he was an Egyptian writer. Use all the information in the box. Your paragraph should be correct and well organized. Okay, my students, and as you can see here, we have different information about who? We have different information about Najib Mahfouz. So how can we organize all of this information in a correct paragraph? So my students, if you want to organize the paragraph correctly, number one, you have to write who is the person. It is the first sentence. It is the introduction of your paragraph. Who is the person you are writing about? All of the information you have it here. You will find it here in the box and also in the question you will have indication. Number two, my dear students, number two, write about his date of birth. The next sentence is date of birth. Then, my students, after you write the date of birth, you write about the person, his family, the person family, if a man, his family or her family, if you are writing about a woman. Number four, my dear students, you will write about his works. So here we have Najib Mahfouz is a man, so we say his works. And the last thing, my dear students, you write about what? His date of death, when this person died. So you have to organize your paragraph according to this information. Okay, my dear students, there is something very important, my students, you have to bear in mind. First of all, you have to use what, my students? You have to use past tense. Why you have to use past tense? Because the person you are right about is dead. The person is dead, so you have to use past tense. What does that mean? You have to use all the verbs in the past form. All the verbs must be in the past form. Make sure that all of the verbs in the past form. There is another thing, my students, you have to do also. You have to write correct sentences. You have to write, my students, what? Correct sentences. How can I write correct sentences? My sentence must have subject. This is the first thing. And after that, we must have the verb. Don't forget, my students, that the verb must be what, my students? Must be past. So we have subject, we have verb, and after the verb, we have the complement, the rest of your sentence. The complement, the completion of your sentences. Okay, my students? Now we can start writing our paragraph. We said, my students, that we have to write first of all, who is the person? Who is the person, my students? He is what? Najib Mahfouz. English, sorry my students, he an Egyptian writer. So what is the name of the person? This is the subject. We are writing about what? We are writing about Najib Mahfouz. That's mean Najib Mahfouz is the subject. So we will write here Najib Mahfouz. Who is the person? An Egyptian writer. What is the verb we write, my students? We will write was because he is dead. Najib Mahfouz was what, my students? He was an Egyptian writer. He was an Egyptian writer. Here is the information about Najib Mahfouz. Najib Mahfouz was an what, students? He was an Egyptian. He was an Egyptian writer. This is the first sentence. Here we have the first sentence. We said the first sentence we have to say what, my students? Who is the person? So it is the first sentence. Who is the person? Najib Mahfouz. Who is Najib Mahfouz? Najib Mahfouz was an Egyptian writer. We find the information here in the question. Now, my dear students, we can write sentence number 2. What is the next sentence? It is the date of birth. Where is this information? Where is the date of birth? It is here. Let us look at the box here. We have the date of birth. So let us write the sentence. Don't forget that the sentence must start with the subject. What is the subject? The subject is he. The subject he. What is the verb? Born alone? No, it must be he was born. He was born. Where, my students? He was born in Cairo. He was born in Cairo in 1911. This is the next sentence. So my students, here we finished sentence number 2. Here is the date of the birth. We wrote it here. He was born in Cairo in 1911. Now, my dear students, we write sentence number 3. We will write the sentences about his family. Look at the information in the box. Where are the sentences about his family? Here I have one sentence, my students, about his family. Had 4 brothers, 2 sisters. So now we will go and write our sentence. Don't forget, my students, our sentence must start with the subject. What is the subject? The subject is what are you writing about? You are writing about Najib Mahfouz. You can say Najib Mahfouz or you can say he because he is a man. He. What is the verb, my students? Had. It is in the past, correct, because he is dead. He had. He had 4 brothers. He had 4 brothers and we add information and 2 sisters and 2 sisters. Good. Do we have another sentence about his family, my students? Yes, this also about his family. this sentence about the family. So we have to write it here. Had two daughters. So let us come and write the subject. What is our subject, students? He. Very good. It is Najib Mahfouz, or we can say he. He had. He had two daughters. He had two daughters, and we put full stop. Good. Now let us move to the next sentence, my students. خلاص, we finish about his family. Let us go to his works. We finish, so we go to his work. Wrote more than 350 short stories. So here is the sentence about his work. We start with the subject, he, the verb, wrote in the past. He wrote more. If you have more, you must say than. He wrote more than 350 short stories, and we put full stop. Good. We have another sentence about his work. In 1988, took Nobel Prize. So you can start with the date. You can write here before the date, the year you write in. In 1988, what happened? He, the subject. What is the verb? The verb is took in the past. He took the Nobel. He took the Nobel Prize. So we write Nobel Prize in capital letter because it is what? It is an international prize. Now last sentence, my dear students, date of death. When did he die? This is the last sentence. Here we have his date of death. The last sentence, we have to start also with the subject. The subject must be capital letter at the end of the sentence. Sorry, capital letter when we begin the sentence off. The letter of the first letter of the sentence must be capital letter. He, capital letter. He died. He died where, my students? He died in Cairo in 2006. Then we put full stop. This way, my students, we have written our correct paragraph.